Okay, so welcome to the Astrology of March. We're going to start just with the tail end of today, February 28th. Obviously, we start March tomorrow. But like I just said, we are still in this Mars-Uranus square. Mars in Aquarius, Uranus in Taurus, facing off, making a 90-degree angle, not getting along. This is why we wake up to the news of something like the United States and Israel have attacked Iran, and Iran is retaliating. Very much a warlike transit. We are also still in this Sun conjunct the North Node, which, if you joined us last time or if you watched the recording of last month, I also brought this up because whenever the nodes, our lunar nodes, get activated by a planet, usually conjunction or a square, usually big things happen. And, we really have multiple things playing into everything that's happening right now. We had, right, this square, we have Sun conjunct the North Node. We're also still in our eclipse window, right? We have our second eclipse happening on Tuesday. That 2-week period between eclipses, a lot of stuff usually happens, a lot of really big things. Another big thing we had, this week was we had Bill and Hillary Clinton testify having to do with the Epstein files. Very prominent news story, the sun representing public figures being really, thrust into the spotlight. So yeah, that kind of had to do with that transit as well. But yeah, big shifts. The sun also has to do with leadership, with regimes. So part of the excuse of why why this country has attacked Iran, has to do with, changing their leadership, a regime change. And that also falls in line with eclipse patterns as well. So let's get into, because that's today, but let's get into the rest of the month. Okay, so tomorrow, March 1st, we don't have anything big happening. But on Monday, March 2nd, we have Mars ingress into the sign of Pisces. Okay, and Mars will be in Pisces for about, for a little over a month, okay, until April 9th. Okay, we're going to have Mars in Pisces now through April 9th. Mars in Pisces, not his favorite sign to be in, right? Mars is our planet of action. Pisces, not a sign of action. Pisces is very passive. Pisces is the pacifist, right? More interested in solitude, keeping the peace, that sort of energy. So we have a conflict when Mars is in Pisces. Because he struggles. He can't do his normal Mars stuff, which is being decisive, taking the initiative, having a lot of energy. He's debilitated in Pisces. So for us, for the next few weeks, yeah, it might be a little more difficult for us to make clear decisions, to take action on certain things, meaning that like things we try to do, we might they might take longer or they might not move as quickly as we would like. We might have, right, some delays, kind of similar, yeah, to this Mercury in retrograde as well. Mars in Pisces is not helping with that energy we already have, where things are more likely to take longer, or we're more likely to have, things come up, things that go wrong, things that slow us down. The best thing, though, with Mars and Pisces, okay, is tuning in right to our intuition, because that is what Pisces is good at, and that's what Pisces rules. Our instincts, our intuition. Okay, so for the next few weeks, before you take action on something, it's really good to check in. Like, how is your gut feeling about it? What is your soul trying to tell you? Maybe meditate on the question before you make the decision. because it's when we trust our emotions and trust our instincts, that's when this Mars in Pisces can actually be beneficial to us. It's not necessarily about reading all the information and going this way. It's more, what are we feeling? And let's lean into that direction of what feels better, if that makes sense. But also, Mars also represents like our physical energy and stamina. So Mars in Pisces too, we might feel just less energetic for the next few weeks. We might just feel a little, like it's a little harder to get out of bed. It's a little harder to like do that physical stuff. And it's good to take good care of your health. Mars in Pisces is a little more susceptible to illness, to stress, to just lethargy. Okay. So if you need to rest, it's okay. Take a rest with Mars in Pisces. Okay, then on the 3rd, okay, we're getting right into it. We are going to have our eclipse, okay, our lunar eclipse in Virgo. Let me get it to the exact time so we can all see it. Here we go. Okay, it's going to be at 12 degrees. Okay, here's the sun, 12 degrees Pisces, the moon at 12 degrees Virgo. And we always know it's an eclipse when the moon is right next to the south node or the north node, and the sun is next to the north node or south node, because the nodes literally represent the ecliptic. So that's why it's an eclipse, because the sun and the moon are lined up with those nodes. And a lunar eclipse, right? This is when the earth is directly in between the sun and the moon. Okay, so the sun can't light up the moon the way it normally does during a full moon. There's a shadow from the earth, which is why, yes, our lunar eclipses are also called blood moons, because you look up at it when it's happening and the moon is kind of a rusty red color. And can we see this from where we are in the United States? Yes, especially if you're on the West Coast. This eclipse will be visible. Okay, it's going to happen, between like 2:30 and 3:30 a.m. Okay, so maybe not everyone probably wants to wake up at that time to see it, but if you happen to wake up at that time, go outside and look at the moon. It's going to be red in the sky. What is the folklore about lunar eclipses? Yeah, something bad is coming. That is what every ancient civilization from the Mayans, the Egyptians, Mesopotamia, China, everywhere in the world, all these cultures had their own stories about the blood moon, right? That it was some kind of omen, something bad was happening. They literally thought like a monster is like swallowing the moon or harming the moon. That's why she's red. That's why she's bleeding. It wasn't something that was looked at as like, oh, this is going to bring us, some good things. So obviously now in modern times, we know that the moon isn't actually being attacked, right? It's just the shadow from Earth. But there is a bit of a through line with the fact that there is a lot of chaos or disruption or, yes, serious consequences that do happen around a lunar eclipse. So again, sometimes it has to do with governments, with leadership. It can be, weather disasters or volcanoes, earthquakes, right? Big things like that also too can happen with these lunar eclipses. But for us personally, right? This is honestly a lunar eclipse in Virgo. You don't get more purifying energy than that. Okay. Virgo is the purifier. Virgo is the sign that like cleans everything out, right? We want to declutter. We want to get rid of stuff with Virgo. We want to get organized with Virgo. So this moon and a lunar eclipse too is about completion. There is something about endings, release that's very profound. And like I'm saying, especially in the sign of Virgo, the sign that loves to like, yes, clean and purify and declutter and get rid of things. The eclipses, we don't really have to do anything extra. Like I wouldn't say, go clean your house this week, or I mean, you can if you want to. Usually, though, eclipses they do the work for us. We really don't have to do anything extra. But if there is something specific that you really do want to release, you can journal about that or meditate on that on Tuesday. Absolutely. You can ask this eclipse, you know what, eclipse? I'm done with this habit, or I'm done with this pattern, or I'm done with, um, this situation in my life. Like, help me release it. You can do that. Absolutely. And for some people, this is because Virgo also very much tied to the services that we do or the work that we do. So for some people, the last year into this year, like changing your work environment may have been something that came up, or wanting to change your daily schedule, your daily work, your daily routines, right? That has been a theme for a lot of people these last 2 years with these eclipses in Virgo. Because it's very much about, yeah, things need to be improved. Okay, things need to be improved. Um, and then, also getting even more personal, you can go, okay, where's 12 degrees Virgo in my natal chart? What house is that in? Because that can give us a clue as to, oh, this is where some change might happen, right? If Virgo's happening in your seventh house of relationships, yeah, you might have some changes in your relationships this year. If it's happening in your fourth house, you might move, you might sell your house. Okay, if it's in your 10th house, you might change careers, you might get a new job offer. So yeah, and also with eclipses, it doesn't necessarily mean that something's going to happen on that exact day. Some of us might, in our personal lives, have a pretty normal day on Tuesday. Maybe nothing big happens, but a seed might have been planted. Some little thing might have occurred, but you're going to see the culmination of that later in the year. But it might have started around this time, even though you didn't see it. Let's see. Also, just with eclipses again, too, if you feel drained, if you feel tired, if you have a headache, a stomach ache, very common with eclipses because it's very intense energy. When all three of these planets, when the Earth, Sun, and the Moon all align exactly, and they all have magnetic fields and all that stuff, there's a lot going on, and we feel that. We're literally just made up of cells and water. Okay, remember that. And we feel energy. So I know 2 weeks ago, the last eclipse, I was drained and I forgot it was I'm like, why am I so tired today? Oh yeah, it was the eclipse. So just to keep that in mind, if you need some extra schedule in some extra sleep this week, that's a good idea. Okay, does anyone have any questions on this final eclipse?
What if it's in our fifth house?
If it's in your fifth house, interesting. Yeah, fifth house for one, um, something romantic. I don't know, it could be like you've been dating someone, but maybe it kind of comes to an end, or maybe they weren't the right person, or something, about a project, something creative you've been working on. Maybe it's time to actually complete that creative thing and to think about, how am I going to get this out into the world? How am I going to express this? Or even just tapping into your own confidence, your own ability to take initiative, to lead something. If you have children, it could have to do with either your relationship to the children that you have. For some people, it could be finding out that they're pregnant. Um, Yeah, fifth house, those are the main themes we deal with in the fifth house. But yeah, I like, the creativity aspect, that it's time for you to express yourself and to put whatever you've been afraid to show to the world. It's time to put it out there. Okay, anybody else? Okay. You can also, if anybody also wants to put things in the chat box, you're welcome to do that too. Okay, so eclipse. Then we're going to move to, we had our eclipse. The 5th, we're going to have, oops, we don't want to do hours. Okay. Is this the, oh, move it a little later. Okay, here we go. The 5th is actually, this is nice, okay? On the 5th, we're going to have Jupiter in Cancer, okay, making a trine, which is a positive aspect, okay, to the Sun in Pisces, okay, 15 degrees, 15 degrees. This is very much positive energy, feeling confident, feeling expressive, especially with our emotions, right? Because this is in water. Cancer and Pisces, very emotional. Our intuition is likely to feel stronger today. Things are likely, to just happen with more ease. There's a lot of flow when Jupiter and the Sun are helping each other out. And overall, too, it's very joyful energy. It's very gracious. It's very generous. Okay, this is also a day, if you can personally set an intention to be generous, this day is going to go very well for you. This is a really good day to give something back to either a person or an organization or something you care about. But what can you give on this day? That's going to be something I would recommend doing, because whatever you give on this day, something will definitely come back to you, something positive. And also, too, just a nice day for, if you live near family or you've got a family member you haven't talked to for a while, like give them a call on this day. That Jupiter and Cancer energy is really nice for family connections. Okay, moving on to the 6th. Oh boy, yes, the 6th. Okay. Venus is going to ingress into Aries. Okay. So March 6th through March 29th. Okay. She's not here for a super, super long amount of time, a few weeks, but she's got to answer to Mars. She's got to answer to Aries. So Venus, who usually, right, loves to be luxurious and, be hanging out at the art museum and drinking her favorite champagne. She's in Aries for a few weeks where she's got to put on her combat boots, right? And she's got to be tough and she's got to fight. She doesn't necessarily like doing it, but sometimes it has to be done. Okay, so how does that apply to us? Well, Venus is our planet of relationships, okay, and how we interact with other people. So yeah, we might experience more confrontations with Venus and Aries for the next few weeks, but maybe these are confrontations that are necessary. Maybe it's something that you've been holding back, that you haven't been, courageous enough to say, but with Venus and Aries, you've got the courage to say it. Even though it might not be comfortable, it's probably necessary. And this doesn't mean you're going to go, yell and scream at people, right? But you can still bring up an issue that maybe hasn't been making you feel great, especially if it's in a relationship, right? Romantic or even a friendship, your marriage, a business partnership. It can be any kind of dynamic. But Venus in Aries gives us the confidence to say what needs to be said, even if it's uncomfortable. Okay. Venus in Aries too it is a very creative placement. Okay. Venus also, right, rules like artistic talents. And Aries is the pioneer, likes to get things started, is a fire sign. Fire signs are very creative. So Venus in Aries is a good time to start a creative project, something you've been wanting to do, something that makes you feel good about yourself. Let's see, what else Venus in Aries? Yeah, I mean, lovers' quarrels. That's a very, very straightforward Venus and Aries. Yeah, if you are in a relationship, romantically, you're more likely to maybe have a disagreement with your partner. But as much as Venus in Aries likes to have it out, she also likes to make up afterwards. Okay, there's also a lot of passion there. So also you can use that passion in your relationships as well. Venus in Aries too could also be some kind of first, right? Aries being the first sign of the zodiac, a first for women. Maybe we see a significant news story about a woman who accomplishes something for the first time. That's something I like to see with Venus in Aries. Um, Venus in Aries too, on the downside, can sometimes literally be women, right? Venus being attacked in some way. Kind of that Aries actually attacking Venus herself. Which hopefully, obviously, nobody wants to see that, but that is a possibility. Sometimes the astrology is just that literal. Um, so with that, we also have, I think this is the next day, March 7th. Right. So March 7th and 8th, we also are going to have Venus cross past Neptune and Saturn. So I'm kind of calling this like a 2-day triple conjunction, okay, where Venus, Saturn, and Neptune, Venus, Saturn, and Neptune, there we go, are all hanging out very closely. And really, you guys, the three of these planets being aligned like this in Aries will not happen for another hundreds of years. Okay. And this is the only pass we have of this year. So this is a significant alignment. Um, but it's interesting because on the one hand, Venus and Neptune is like otherworldly love, compassion, right? Where it's like unconditional love, feelings of complete love and appreciation for everything in the world, right? We all want to hold hands and love each other and just, be kind to each other. That's Venus and Neptune, like a very transcendent kind of love, a love that surpasses everything. But with Saturn here, Saturn kind of puts the brakes on that complete euphoric energy. Because Saturn also says, yeah, but you've got to be realistic. You've also got to look at the reality of the situation, right? It's not all rainbows and butterflies. We can't always all get along. There's things that do divide us, there's things that do separate us, and we have to look at that, is kind of what Saturn says here. Um, so on one hand, this can be like a strengthening of relationships. That also is possible with Saturn here. So feeling more solid, more grounded in your relationships. Okay. But also maybe feeling, rejected even in some ways, or feeling disconnected in your relationships. Um, so yeah, this one collectively, I mean, I think like if we're talking about, right, like things that could come up in the news around March 7th, March 8th, could be something involving a woman, but I also see this as like the wisdom of women, like the wisdom of Neptune and Saturn coming through. And maybe we see a prominent woman who shares something that is very profound or who's recognized for her work as a mentor, her work in some way. I'm hoping that's what it is. Um, but it could just be, yeah, something involving women, something that's confusing, something that doesn't make sense, something that feels restrictive towards women with Saturn there. Um, yeah, it's hard to know exactly, but that's the energy, the possibilities of this energy we see. And then we also have happening within here is the Sun and Mercury conjunction. Let me see if I went too far. Oh, right, because we're retrograde. No, I think it's happening. I thought it was happening with the Sun. Here we go. Okay, so also on March 7th, okay, we call this the Mercury cazimi, Mercury in the heart of the Sun. Okay, they're exactly lined up. Cazimis with Mercury, even though Mercury's retrograde, okay, this is usually a clarity point. Like the Sun kind of helps Mercury like really see things, get a clear understanding. Communication should be better around this time, even though, yes, Mercury is still retrograde. We could have some sudden insights, but because it's Pisces, to me, this is more like you get a download from spirit. Like spirit comes through, you can't explain it, but you get the answer to something, but it's not something because you read it or you saw it somewhere. It's because you just get a feeling or you have a dream and that dream really speaks to you, right? Or you see something symbolic that gives you an answer, right? You see some kind of animal or a flower or just something that it's not literally a message, but you know what it means and you have your answer. That's how I'm personally interpreting this Kazimi in Pisces, right? Which is more about symbolism and spirituality and things from other places that we can't explain. Okay, then on the 8th, okay, the 8th we have our Mercury trine Jupiter. Okay, so again, this is nice. Always nice to get a positive support from Jupiter. So again, Mercury's still retrograde, but this should mean conversations are more pleasant. Some of us might get good news. Um, Communication should be a little more smooth around this time. Also, a good time for learning things, right? Or for like things you want to absorb. If you're studying something, this is a good day to like really do your research because our minds are more likely to just absorb information really well. This can also be, yeah, just more emotional conversations as well. Like this is a good day to have a meaningful talk with someone or to tell someone how you feel about them, to be a little more vulnerable with other people. This is actually a nice day to do that. We have a lot of support. We're also actually getting support from the moon around this time, which is nice. So definitely more positive interactions with family as well and women in our lives. Okay, on the 10th, here we go. On the 10th, we are going to have Jupiter station direct. Okay, so Jupiter has been retrograde since November of last year. There we go. Here's Jupiter now on March 10th out of retrograde. Okay, so what does this mean? Well, Jupiter retrograde has been more, as with all retrogrades, it's more internal. Okay, so this has been more about processing information internally, but especially thinking about things like, yeah, family dynamics or where you want to live or how you want to improve how you're taking care of yourself, literally, or how you want to be taking care of other people in your life. Right? That very nurturing Cancer energy. It's been more internal. So now Jupiter goes direct and it becomes more external. Okay. So literally, yeah, Jupiter does rule like homes, property, that kind of thing. So for some of us, maybe we've been thinking about moving, or we've been thinking about selling a house or buying a house or moving into a new apartment, doing all this kind of stuff. Jupiter going direct, you're probably going to be ready to do that now if you've been thinking about it. Um, this can also have to do literally with family planning as well. Maybe you've been wanting to have a child or adopt. You've been thinking about it. And now you feel like, yeah, I want to go ahead with that. I do. I want to expand my family. Very Jupiter and Cancer. Um, so that can be Jupiter and Cancer on the collective. And because, too, this is our last few months of Jupiter and Cancer. Jupiter's moving into Leo in July. So we only have a few more months of Jupiter and Cancer. For one, though, it's very matriarchal to me. This is very much like the matriarchy is like ready to make some declarations. Women are organizing, women are coming together, women want to make changes, women want to see more care and nurturing in our society. And that's very broad, I know, and it doesn't mean all of a sudden we're going to see that happen. But I think, again, the seeds are being planted. Things are getting organized at the end of this transit of Jupiter and Cancer. Very supportive for women and female-oriented communities. Okay. Also, yeah, just, housing in general. We could see something positive. I mean, I know they did lower mortgage rates. I think the other day, mortgage rates are now a little bit lower than what they have been. So maybe people feel more comfortable selling a home, purchasing a home. We could see that. But overall, I mean, Jupiter in Cancer, it's nurturing. It's about caring for others and also caring for ourselves, right? How have you been taking care of yourself? Can you be taking better care of yourself? How can you be nurturing yourself and the people around you? And like we said before with Jupiter, generosity is the magic word for Jupiter. So for the next few months, the more generous you can be with taking care of people in some way, the more Jupiter is going to reward you for that. Okay, so open our hearts and be good to people, which we should do all the time. But Jupiter in Cancer especially supports that. Then on the 11th, we have our fourth quarter moon. Okay, Sun in Pisces. Actually, this got to make this a little earlier because it's actually, yeah, when the moon is still in Sagittarius. Okay, Sun in Pisces, moon in Sagittarius. This conflict is near this tension, I should say. We have the potential to kind of come across as like self-righteous. This is like your heart being in a good place, but it gets expressed as like, I know more than you. And this could be us who do this, or maybe it's someone who we're talking to and we feel like they're being super self-righteous. This also can be a battle between like wanting freedom, but also wanting closeness with other people. So feeling conflict that way, like, oh, I really should go spend time with this person, but I also really want to do my own thing today. I want some freedom. I want to go just do whatever I want to do. So feeling conflict there. Or maybe, yeah, you're supposed to be, you have plans where your presence is really needed, but you just feel like you don't want to show up for it. So it's finding the balance there with that. Yeah, and also thinking that freedom will give you clarity on this day, but it's not going to. We're not going to get clarity on this day because it's the sun in Pisces still and Mercury retrograde in Pisces. Okay, all this Pisces stuff, we're not quite going to get our clarity yet. And running away from our problems isn't going to make it show up any sooner. Okay, the 12th. The 12th is this is a tougher day. Not necessarily for us personally, but the collective, because yeah, this is Mars conjunct the North Node. Okay, Mars triggering this North Node. Again, could be right, some kind of an attack, some kind of conflict, right? Major global conflict, some kind of very public power struggle. Could again, right, our weather, disasters, could be something having to do with water because it's Pisces, right? Some kind of torrential flooding or a dam breaks or, that kind of thing. Yeah, so we'll be paying attention around this day for the headlines for something that could happen. And also the North Node speeds things up. It makes things happen very quickly too. So Mars conjunct the North Node, things happen fast. And that's why too, personally, this is what I will say for us personally, this is a day too, you don't want to be rushing things. You're going to feel like you should rush things, but you actually want to kind of force yourself to slow down. Because when we're going too fast, right, that's when accidents can happen. So circle, right, March 12th, like I'm going to be intentionally more mindful this day. And I'm going to slow down a little bit, even if I feel like I'm running late or I have all this stuff to do. Nope, I'm not going to rush. Okay. Okay, then on the 18th, we get to the 18th. Yeah, we've got a few days here. The 18th, oh, look at that. It actually happened exact. Okay, our new moon in Pisces, okay, at 28 degrees, okay? Sun and moon right next to each other, the new moon, right? The moon is in the dark, okay? And the new moon in Pisces is, aside from new moon in Scorpio, is one of the just darkest new moons because yes, it's literally dark, but also Pisces is so much about retreat and going inward and hiding. Okay. So this day, yeah, I literally wrote in the newsletter, I'm like, this is a day we should all go dark, meaning this is a day for solitude. This is a day for rest. This is a day to turn off your phone. Don't watch TV. I mean, you can if you really want to, but I see this new moon as like it's such a recharge day. Okay, because this is our last, it is, it's like our last little moment of quiet and solitude and rest before we're gonna burst into Aries. Okay. 2 days after this, we're gonna burst into Aries season, and that's gonna be a lot of energy. Okay. So this new moon in Pisces is like our last little retreat day where we can really just get in tune with ourselves, check in with ourselves, get very clear about what we want to accomplish moving forward. Okay, this is a day, take a nice bubble bath or a shower, or if you have a hot tub, go sit in it. If you can be near water during this day, that's extra, that's nice. But yeah, also this is a moon where sometimes things can happen, but again, it's being hidden. We don't see it or realize it until later. Yeah, but overall, I'm like, let's just rest on this day. This is the best day for resting. Ooh, also too, if you are someone who does tarot cards or oracle cards, this is a nice day to do a pull. Okay, do a card pull on this day. See what messages come through for you on that. And really, I would do it for like my year ahead. Okay, because really the astrological new year starts with Aries. Okay, that's the astrological new year. So this new moon, really good to get clear on your astrological new year ahead and be like, Spirit, what do I need to know? What should I be focusing on for the year ahead? Okay, good. That's our new moon in Pisces. Yeah, and like I said, a couple days later, bam, on the 20th, yay, okay. The sun moves into Aries, and it is also our spring equinox and also the pagan celebration of Ostara. Okay, the welcoming back of light. Okay, we're now getting closer to the summer solstice, the longest day of the year. The light is returning. Okay, things are, baby animals are being born. Grass is starting to pop up from the ground. Leaves are starting to show up on our trees, right? Life is returning. Okay. And what do you think? Yeah, Ostara is how Christianity, right? Then rebranded that as Easter and then made it a whole different thing. It doesn't even happen at this, like, this is literally Easter. Ostara is Easter. The symbolism of eggs and rabbits and baby birds, all of that, that was all pagan, right? And rooted in this Ostara celebration. But right, then it got rebranded as Easter, and then we don't have Easter till later, but really this is Easter. Um, and it's right, the sun into Aries. This is the start, like I said, of the astrological calendar, the astrological new year, okay, and actually Iran is the only main country that still really celebrates this is the new year. They still go by this astrological calendar, which is interesting because not a lot of other cultures stuck with that. So Aries season, right, is all about fresh starts, okay? And that burst of energy that literally is life, the birth of the life force, okay? And that's again, Aries, the first sign. Okay, so there's energy, there is excitement, right? There's excitement with Aries because it's like, wow, this is life. We just popped up from the soil. We're alive now, or we've just been born. We're alive now. This is exciting. So that's why there's so much energy that comes with Aries. Okay, so for the next 4 weeks, right, from March 20th till about April 20th, yeah, it's Aries season. And we've got a lot going on in Aries too. The sun is going to, right, link up with Neptune and Saturn, and Venus is in Aries. And actually, on this specific day, the moon is also in Aries. So, yeah, Aries season, taking initiative, tapping into your courage, tapping into your fearlessness. What goals do you want to get started? And it's not about, right? Pisces was about like the dream. Like, this is what I want to do. This is what I envision. This is what I'm fantasizing about. But Aries is like, okay, so you're going to do it, right? Aries is the doing of things, not the thinking about it and hoping it happens, but what am I going to do? Okay. And also, right, there's competitiveness with Aries. Aries likes to be first, right? Likes to be the first one to do things. So again, we might see some firsts happen this Aries season. Maybe it's something we do first in our lives, or just, news stories that have to do with significant, like, first of this kind of stories. Let's see. Anything else, Aries? Right. And again, too, right? Fire sign, right? So, like, creativity is also connected to Aries. So, creative projects, literally, yeah, getting started on those things that help you express yourself, that make you feel alive. Do those things during Aries season. Okay. And thankfully, too, also on the 20th, Mercury stations direct. Mercury comes out of retrograde. Hallelujah. Okay. So even though the first couple days that Mercury comes out of retrograde, it's still not perfect energy. but at least he's starting to wake up and like get his speed back. Okay. But so around March, like 23rd, 24th, yeah, we're definitely going to feel the release of that retrograde energy. So again, after a Mercury retrograde, you can get started again on those things you put on hold, right? Because Mercury retrograde, it's not the time to start new things. It's a time to revisit things, to be working on things you've already started, but not start something completely brand new. But now, towards the end or end of March, yeah, you can pick up those things again. If you had to put negotiations on hold, if you were maybe, I don't know, going to buy a car, but you decided to wait, that was smart of you. But you can pick up those things again now that Mercury is direct. Okay, then on the 21st. The 21st, we have our Mars in Pisces making a trine to that Jupiter in Cancer. So again, yeah, this is positive. This is a really nice energy. This is good for taking the first step on something, taking action on a goal, feeling more energetic, feeling like, yeah, actually, this is a good day to just be active. Go for a walk, go for a hike, move your body in some way. It's going to feel really good to do that on this day. Also, too, just your instincts. Again, very strong on this day. That Jupiter is just really helping your body like listen to itself. So tapping into what is my body trying to tell me today? Let's listen to that. This is also, yeah, I mean, for anyone who's literally doing anything competitive today, you've got Jupiter definitely helping you out. If you play sports, if you are, I don't know, a chess player, if there's anything you do that's kind of competitive, this is a day that's good for that, where you might have some success. You might win. Okay, then we're also getting into around this time, yeah, Sun conjunct Neptune. And this is our first Sun conjunct Neptune in Aries alignment since the 1860s. Okay, so it's been a long time since we've had a Sun Neptune conjunction in Aries. 100 and something years. But overall, this energy, it's very humbling. Neptune really humbles the ego that is the sun. So this is a day where we personally might just feel more relaxed or more accepting or more like we actually can let go of our ego and we can just like tune in to our own existence and see how we fit in the bigger picture where it's not focused on the me. This is what I need. This is how I feel, right? This kind of melts the ego a bit, makes us more compassionate, more forgiving in some ways. For some people though, it could feel uncomfortable because you might just feel kind of lost. Neptune conjunct the sun can kind of, because you don't feel connected to your ego, some people get freaked out by that and they're like, wait, who am I? What am I supposed to be doing? So if you have a day or yeah, around this time, if you feel like I'm lost, who am I? What am I doing? It's just this Neptune sun. Okay. But if you can get really quiet, you will hear an answer. Okay, of what you're actually supposed to be doing, how you can be helping people more. But also too, very spiritual energy, again, like pay attention to symbols, to messages that are coming through on this day. It does have potential for like the hidden to communicate with us. And then obviously the day after that, or well, actually, 25th. The 25th. Okay, the 25th, and actually a little earlier. Where is the sun? We're going to have our Sun conjunct Saturn. Here we go at 4 degrees, okay? Sun conjunct Saturn in Aries. This one is more, this is more aggressive. This is more, it feels very militant to me. The Saturn and the Sun in Aries feels very much like we're exerting control, we're in charge. I mean, and that I'm speaking more collectively. Again, like this is a day where I feel like military stuff is going to be happening. Personally, it's more about taking ourselves seriously, about maybe having extra responsibilities around this time, something where we've kind of just got to suck it up and do it. Right? That part of Saturn that is, very dutiful, very restrictive, responsible, like maybe doing the thing that's not always fun, but the thing that's necessary. Having to do something that maybe takes longer for this day, because Saturn is also like endurance and time. So that's a possibility. Could also be, just feeling a little more, just more serious, honestly. This is a day where maybe your sense of humor isn't at its normal place, or you're just thinking about things in a more serious way. So good for doing serious things, good for doing those tasks that maybe you haven't been wanting to do. Okay. And then we're almost done. There is, there. Yeah, everyone just make sure you're on mute because I think we're hearing a little bit of background noise. And then we just have on the 30th, end of the month, our last thing for March is something nice. So that's good. It's going to be Venus leaving Aries, okay, on the 30th, and she's going to move into her home sign of Taurus, okay? She's going to be much happier here. She only has to answer to herself, okay, because she's in her home sign of Taurus, which is about our values, things we find pleasure in, the beauty, literally the beauty in nature, or just things we find beautiful, things we find pleasurable. Okay, so Venus and Taurus, indulging in those things. If you're someone who loves gardens, go visit the gardens. If you're someone who loves museums, go to museums. If you're someone who likes shopping, go shopping. If you're someone who wants to get your nails done, go do that. This is just the time to like do all those things that maybe sometimes we feel guilty about or we feel like we don't deserve. No, Venus and Taurus says you deserve the nice thing. You get to do the nice things for yourself. Okay, because Venus is also, right, our self-worth, and actually so is Taurus. So this is a time where we want to check in. How am I treating myself? Am I treating myself the way I deserve to be treated? Okay. Am I tolerating behavior that maybe I don't deserve? Yeah, okay, I need to change that. That's what Venus and Taurus is about, checking in with our own self and how we're treating ourselves, how we're valuing ourselves. Okay, but also too, yeah, Venus is relationships. So this too, this is actually a nice time for our relationships. It's a time to do those, more pleasurable things with others. Go on a nice date, go to your favorite restaurant with friends. Open that fancy bottle of whatever that you've been saving. Really, again, indulge in those things. And this is also good for, setting a stronger foundation in your relationships too. Like, where do I need to commit more? Where can I create more stability? And also Venus and Taurus, also good for our finances. Okay. This is also Venus, right? Is also love and money. Okay. This is a good time to be checking in. How's your savings account? How's your retirement? How are these things you've invested in? Like doing a good inventory, okay, of your possessions and your financial standing. Is there anywhere that you can make improvements? Do you need to cut back somewhere? Or do you want to be adding more to your savings account or whatever it is? Do you want to be saving for something special, for a trip, a vacation, something like that? How can you make the plan for that? Okay, that's also good with Venus and Taurus. Okay, everyone, that is March. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah,
No.
yes, I do
Yes.
actually. So February was obviously a doozy. Am I reading it that March just seems a little bit better?
Yeah, because what the big thing is getting through eclipse, right? Eclipse season. So the good thing is we have that eclipse right at the beginning of March. Okay. So yeah, some things might happen the week after that eclipse, but overall we're moving out of that really intense portal, right? Um, the only thing that's interesting, yeah, March, I mean, is we are going to have a lot of things in Aries, right? We're going to have the Sun, Saturn, Neptune, and Venus in Aries for a good chunk of the month. And Aries, yeah, is the planet of war. So this, ugh, I know, I'm just like, oh, can't believe we even have to talk about it. But this Iran thing could blow up. Who knows what else could happen? But I don't think it's going to be the same level of intensity that it has been the last couple weeks. At least we hope not, right? Yeah. And then people too who have cardinal energy in their charts, right? People with heavy Aries or Cancer or Libra or Capricorn. Yeah, Mars, or excuse me, Mars. March is going to feel busy for you guys. There's a lot of energy happening that's impacting you.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank
So,
you.
uh,
Yeah,
so
go ahead.
my north node is at 15 degrees Cancer. So
Uh-huh.
like the Jupiter
Ooh,
and the north node will be in my third house, and I
yeah.
do actually like do video games for a living, so that's why I was just curious about that. So,
Oh, hold on. Let me see. I don't know why. Oh, here, let me look at the chat. Is it in here? There be a yes, there will be a replay of this and video games. Oh, video game design. Yeah, I mean, Jupiter conjunct your North Node is really positive for all kinds of, it's a period of growth for you. Okay, like big growth that's really positive. So, whatever you are working on in the world, yeah, do it. Absolutely. You're going to get really good results taking advantage of getting projects done or starting projects with Jupiter conjunct your North Node. Does that does that make sense?
yeah.
Yeah. So I say, yeah, go for it. Work on whatever you want to be working on. It's super positive. Okay, everyone. Well, thank you so much. And until next time, take care.